Yesterday we discussed about the development of insight mindfulness. Today we start talking about the objects. We said when you talk of Dhammanupassana and you talk about insight meditation, then the object is a Paramattha Dhamma, an ultimate reality. This is where you start talking a bit about Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma speaks in terms of ultimate realities. In the suttas they use a lot of these conventions. It's just like, science, when you talk about matter, you talk about the electrons and the protons and so on. And so you have this periodic table. How many elements are there in the periodic table? Any scientists here? 100 what? 100 how many?
104?
Maybe, I don't know. So in Abhidhamma, everything, underlying concepts can be analyzed into these Paramattha Dhammas. All the realities underlying concepts. That is the 28 qualities of matter, 89 or 121 types of consciousness, 52 mental factors, and 1 Nibbana. And so in the Abhidhamma analysis, you see the reality underlying all the concepts. You have all this. And these are all interconnected by the 24 types of relationships. And so when you practice Vipassana, you are brought to see these basic realities. And from there you can follow up to experience the 3 universal characteristics. It's just like when you're going into the sea, the surface of the water are the Paramattha Dhammas. So you don't stay on the surface, you go deep into the water. But even these Paramattha Dhammas, they are many kinds. Some are gross, some are subtle. So here you see that not all the ultimate realities are suitable for beginners, because some of them are too subtle and the beginner just cannot see it. So here we have a list of this which are suitable for beginners. Again, this is not my creation, I just copycat. It's taken from Mahasi's book. So there you have this Nama and Rupa. Rupa are the material qualities. First 5 are the 5 sensitivities. Eye sensitivity, ear, nose, tongue, body. The visible object, the audible object, the odor and the taste. And the touch comes under 3 of the great elements. The earth, the fire and the wind. The water element is not experienced at the body, it's experienced as a subtle materiality in the mind. The sense object, it is quite clear. For example, the eye object, what's the eye object? What is seen? But it is mainly we call the light and the color. When you see a shape, that is concept. That's what Abhidhamma says, believe it or not. So, for example, you see a shape, when you see the shape, now the balance. So this Buddha image. This Buddha image. Nice? Why? Buddha image is a form. The form is a concept. You cannot see the form. Form the concept that occurs at the mind door. I'm looking at it, how come there's the mind door? It's a long story. Similarly, when the sound, and you hear him talking, you hear me talking, you hear the sound, but the words are concept. Comes together when a lot of sounds come together over a period of over a process. In one moment of time, the word doesn't come to play. And so the word occurs at the mind door. You hear the sound, but the word is in the mind. Isn't it interesting? That means you don't hear the words. You hear the sound, you know the words. So on and so on. This odor, the smell, and the taste. The taste only 4 tastes: sweet, saltish, bitter, and sour. Is there anything more than that? Picante is not taste. Picante is body, burning, touch object, fire element. Anyway, these are objects which before the concept arises. Now as to the sensitivity, this one is getting tricky. Here you must not try to equivalent it with the conceptual, conventional eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. is the flesh eye, flesh ears. It is described as the rupa, the materiality which is sensitive to receive the corresponding object. And this rupa sensitivity is because of karma. So it's different from the Western science. Once I asked Sayadaw U Pandita, I said, how do you get to know the sensitivity, the experience? So I said, when you close your eyes, and the moment you open your eyes, then it's clear the eye sensitivity is there. Get it? What do you get? No, but what is the eye sensitivity? Something like that. Can you use it as an object of your meditation? Yeah? According to here, you can. Sometimes I think we use these things without knowing. So when you say seeing, you're actually watching the seeing process, which involves the eye object, the eye base, the sensitivity, and the seeing consciousness. So the three come together. When you watch it, the three are there. But what stands out is the grossest, the dominant, which is the eye object. Take for example the mind and the mind object. When you see the mind object, the mind door is there. Can you use the mind door as object? So you see, people do use it, but they don't know. Generally, it's too subtle for most people. Somebody described this as sensitivity or as something very clear. You must remember, this is rupa, this is not nama. And what is rupa? The base of rupa is the earth element. Can you experience earth element? Of course you can. As I said, but you must experience it in the ultimate sense, not the conceptual sense. And this, for that, I say, it's more of the material existence, substance. And sensitivity is not mental sensitivity, material sensitivity. That means it's a kind of response to external phenomena. For example, everything shakes. For example, when this thing is sensitive, very small change in sound, it becomes a big change. Small change in currents becomes a big change in the sound. There's material sensitivity. The eye base, it means you see that there's a material base for the reception of the eye object. And then when the object comes, then this rupa is response to it. There. Yes.
Can the eye sensitivity just be experienced inferentially or also empirically?
Empirically.
Empirically.
Yes. But difficult. Usually it's inferential. But it can be. For example, even the seeing consciousness is not so easy to experience. You're so used to watching consciousness, then you notice the seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness is one special type of consciousness. But these are not subtle rupas, these are gross rupas. Then there's a nutritive essence. What is nutritive essence? Uja, ahara. So I asked Sayadaw Pandita again, how do you experience that? Oh, it's very easy. After you eat food, you feel full. It seems so simple answer, but it's not. It depends how clear you can experience the earth element. So in the pure form of the elements is also quite subtle, or I should say the word abstract. It involves what you call the maintenance of the whole system. It comes under upadaya rupa, derivative. Like the eye sensitivity is also a derivative. It's basically the four elements, the base of the four elements is the earth. But this has a special quality. See, what happens is, what is nutritive essence? It means that certain elements support other elements. And these elements, for example, can support the karmic elements. So what happens if you're aware of the basic elements in your body and you eat food, you feel that the strength of these basic elements is enforced. So that's the nutritive essence. But you want to say, well, you must eat the food so that you have protein, and then the muscle must have carbohydrates, then it goes into the ATP. You know ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. ATP, and then after that you have energy. that is, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's not Abhidhamma. Because Abhidhamma is involved with what can be observed and experienced, underlying all concepts. So how? Because Abhidhamma is meant for practice for enlightenment, not for healing. So when you do meditation, there's a healing process going on, because the ultimate realities are dealing with pure energies. But it doesn't what you call fix your cataract for you. No? Well, don't underestimate, because the mind is very powerful. So I go in and what happened? He has a lot of faith. No? After that, the gallbladder was all gone. So you don't ask me, I didn't know how it happened, but I just chant. No? There must be something happen to the mind, because this is not with special spiritual power. That the angel come and touch your head. Nothing to do with that. You see, power by the power of truth, may you be well. No? So there must be something deeper with regards to the conditioning of the Paramattha Dhamma. So the same goes for the material phenomena of, we call it the faculty sometimes, Purisindriya, Itindriya, of masculinity and femininity. The modern man would try to equivalate this with the male and female mode. Anyway, similarly, this is a kind of materiality which has this certain types of properties, and you can feel it. And another interesting thing, that this masculinity and femininity is only in the rupa, it's not in the nama. The mind has no male or female. Do you agree with that? She likes it, yeah. But we can say that women's mind are different from men's mind. Our macho says so. We say women tend to be more emotional. But men also can be emotional. But all these are more concerned with conceptual realities. For example, this man falls in love with this woman. Oh, you're such a pretty little thing. I cannot help falling in love with you. But his dog is a dog. Look at her. What's so nice about her? So beauty is different, no? Conceptual. Depends on the face, where the nose is, where the eyes is. No? If they are balanced, then maybe it's okay. If they are unbalanced, one here, one here. So what is it that makes it attractive? It's this craving. See, the craving is a mental state. It's neither male or female. That's why nowadays they have all this gay and lesbian people say terrible. But I mean, it has been happening all the time. It's just a matter of craving. What you crave for. So the other questionable stuff is the heart base. What is the heart base? We call it Hadaya Vatu. Hadaya Vatu in Pali. So there are a lot of arguments of what the heart base is. So arguments. So when they try to trace it back into the suttas and the Abhidhamma, they cannot trace. It only refers to that materiality. And commentarial wise, they say it's something in the heart. How? Never mind. What they say is that when the mind withdraws, and this also I gather whatever from Sadhu Pandita. You don't ask him who you're going to ask. Of course, Mahasi Sayadaw, but Mahasi Sayadaw is too far away, up there. It's just when you withdraw, you find that from the senses and so on, you find that the awareness seems to be somewhere inside here. People talk of it as a brain. It's because the five senses are in the head. The mind door is at the heart base. At that time you feel it's here. There must be something there. It's obviously abstract to the normal person. Take for example, in Abhidhamma we talk of at the relinking consciousness, the first consciousness in a person's existence. At that moment arises the karmic kamaja rupa, the karmic derived matter. Three, the body, the heart base, and because the sex base, masculinity, femininity. Of course, with this there are the basic inseparables, 4 elements and so on. So, these three. But there's at the very moment of the first birth, it's a very early phase where you don't see the heart pumping, boom, boom. You also don't see the sexual organs, but the body base is there. And this is the corpo. The body base is like a very fine bubble. They describe it as, there's the water on the hair, You shake it many, as if it's dry. What is left is that size of I think that is already too much. Basically, we are talking of rupa, material qualities. Material qualities don't have shape. Shape is the conventional reality. So It seems, I don't know, people who watch the heart base. People who watch the heart base, they watch it. Personally, I don't watch it. But if I watch it, I see something. Maybe it's the heart base. Definitely there are the elements there. If I see the bhavanga there, together with the heart base, which are two very subtle things, then probably that's the heart base. If I see this material life faculty is more obvious. The material quality is the quality, material quality born of karma. And it is the quality that maintains the karmic derived matter. Two types of life faculties. One is mental, one is material. They are both involved with maintaining of life. So this one is the material. The other one is a mental factor. Say it as the kind of physical energy, bodily energy. Yeah, it's the energy in the body. This energy is different from the energy that you can fight, you can carry things. You can walk for long distance. That is also physical energy. But this is different. It seems you can see clearly when the persons begin to die. And you feel the energy, that kind of energy, receding. So anyway, of course, even these are possible for beginners. Many people don't see. So what more of the other more subtle materiality?
Where is pain?
Pain is nama. So you have these mental factors, 52. All of them can be observed, but not all the time. Those that are in the more developed states, you don't experience it. Don't develop consciousness. You don't experience the mental states found in the more developed consciousness. Attachments, of course. The 8 attachment consciousness. 2 rooted in aversion. 2 rooted in the delusion. These are general more grosser, but it can be quite subtle as well. Then the 10 sense consciousness, as I say, the seeing consciousness, hearing and so on. But you just don't think of anything, you just keep the mind aware and into the mind door. 5 wholesome, result of wholesome, 5 result of unwholesome. 2 receiving consciousness, 3 investigating consciousness, 1 5 sense adverting, 1 mind door adverting. 1 the adverting consciousness at the mind, at the sense door, and 1 adverting consciousness at the mind. To be able, these are very brief moments in the thought process. So usually people don't see a single one. Usually they see as a process. Then the wholesome consciousness and the 8 great resultants that are the bhavanga chittas. And this is the sleeping consciousness. So these are given in as suitable for beginners. So certain are not suitable. For example, functional consciousness of the arahats. The beginner is no arahant. The jhana consciousness, because unless you have experienced the jhanas, you can make use of it. Otherwise, no. The beginner is one which has not meditated before, so usually the jhana chittas don't arise. And then there's, of course, the supramundane past fruition consciousness. But it is still made use. It is made an object by the reviewing knowledge. So one interesting point that make is that even objects in moments of the past, such as recollecting past, is not suitable. And the last of the jhanic consciousness, neither perception nor non-perception, is too subtle, even for Sariputta. This will give you a general idea of the range of the Paramattha Dhammas. They can appear to the beginner. Because beginners, they're different type of beginners. Like beginners like you, who are so intelligent, so you can perceive many of this, but still not all of them. Well, perhaps there are people, beginners who are even more intelligent than you, and more perceptive than you, and then they can experience all of this. But still not the Arahant Chittas, functional consciousness, not the Maggaphala Chittas.